a very crucial moment for the future of the EU, and I hope that we will all be able to find a common compromise at the end of the day. So first, what I will do is explain the rules of procedures for this final simulation. You can find all the detailed rules of procedures on Aula Global, but I will go through it so that everybody is on the same page. So during the formal debates, and we will start with a formal session, you will be asked to intervene, and in order to signal your interest in making an intervention in the council, you will need to signal it through the Zoom platform. And I will, with Francesco, we will run a general speaker list, and we will give the floor to all the delegates alternatively. Then after the formal session, we will have informal meetings in which you will be able to discuss with your colleagues and develop coalitions and develop compromise proposals as the negotiation is going on. This will be obviously non-moderated debate. I guess everybody's already familiar with this kind of setting. We really practiced it in the past week, so I hope it won't be an issue for all of you to distinguish between the formal and the informal sessions. And at the end of the final simulation, you all know that the MFF is adopted by unanimity, so we will need to have all the member states on board behind the same compromise proposals. But if in the context of this simulation, you want to, for instance, raise an issue or change the agenda, we could also, you can also propose motions, and it will be addressed by all your counterparts in the context of the formal sessions. When it comes to the evaluation criteria that we will use to evaluate your performance as delegates, there are mainly two. First, the clarity of your interventions, the way you developed your position, the position of your member states, the strategies that you develop in order to make your preferences in the decision outcome of the MFF, obviously, but also the way that you manage to find a compromise. Because obviously, at the end of the day, all the member states, they need to have something agreed. Nobody can come back to their own member states without any MFF. So I really want to stress the importance to find a compromise. I know certain member states will have very extreme positions as opposed to others, but always take into account the fact that in the end, all the member states need to have a decision outcome. And this is very important, obviously, to find a common position at the end of the day. So these are mostly the main rules of procedures. Francesco already explained that for the informal setting, we will move to the different sessions, breakout rooms that we have opened. So you will be able to click and visit the different breakout rooms that you want to be part of. In the formal session, obviously, I strongly encourage you to mention the breakout rooms in which you would like to meet with other member states. If you want, I don't know, to develop a coalition around the size of the MFF, the expansion of the size of the MFF, please mention that let's meet in room 1, for instance, to all the delegates that are like-minded. So I encourage you to always mention the room in which you want to meet with your counterparts. When it comes to the schedule of today, again, it's available on Aula Global, the full document, but we will go through it so that we are all we have all the same information. So we will, as we are doing now, starting with the presentation of the simulation and the rules of procedures. Then we'll structure this day with mainly 6 phases. The first one is going to be a first council formal roundtable. And the main issues at stake for the first council roundtable will be basically the general structure of the MFF. So its size, the way it's funded, so on resources, and the size of the national contribution, and obviously the issue of rebates, correction mechanisms. Then we'll go into an informal discussion. And so you will be able already to build coalition and discuss among your peers. Then at 10:45, more or less, obviously, we'll have a second council roundtable, this time much more focused on the policies. So CAP, Common Agricultural Policies, Cohesion and Structural Funds, Research and Innovation, Single Market. So mainly the issues that we've addressed. But obviously, if there are other policies of the MFF that we didn't address in the context of the sessions, you are welcome to mention them, obviously. Then we have a second informal discussion. So this one will be critical because we will have more or less addressed all the issues on the agenda. So at this point of time, you should be already working on compromise proposals. Then a lunch break between midday and 1:30. And at 1:30, we will start again with a final council roundtable. This time, especially focused on the recovery package in the context of the COVID pandemic, which is not part of the MFF, but strongly linked to the MFF, and it has a huge influence on the decision outcome as well. So it's strongly related, some provisions are strongly related to the MFF, so it's definitely interesting to address this at the same time. And so after this particular roundtable, we will have a final open debate. So depending on what you want to do, it could be informal, it could be formal. And at 3 o'clock, we will be able to vote on the compromise proposals that you have prepared. And to do so, in order to make clear what are the compromise proposals that you want to use, there is a template on Aula Global, and you will be able to share your screen and show the detailed compromise proposals that you've been working on. So at around, I think it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you will be able, 3 o'clock, sorry, you will be able to show the compromise proposals that you want to put on the table, and then we will proceed to the votes. Obviously, it's going to be by unanimity. So if there is even one negative vote, it won't be enough, and you will need to continue working on your compromise. So that's more or less everything that I wanted to address. Please have a look at the documents on Aula Global. They are definitely key for you to understand what's going on and to proceed in shaping these compromise proposals. So please have a look at the templates, download it, and make use of it in the context of the final stages. And before we move to the first council roundtable, which will focus on the main structural issues of the MFF, I wanted to know if you have maybe any questions before we formally start the simulation. Just to let you know, I want your intervention should be about 1 minute long. It shouldn't be more than this because clearly our time is limited. Try to be as clear and concise as possible, and please try to relate to other member states in order to initiate the dynamics on which you've been working on already, and try to think about what the content of your position paper and how you can implement it in the context of this final simulation. So yeah, just wanted to make sure that you don't have any questions before we start.
I would actually like to ask if I propose a motion, how exactly it's going to work and how are we going to vote on it?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. So basically we will use the chat. So you can take the floor, explain what is your motion, and then depending on the member state that support, or we will either use the negative or positive votes. We will see how we will go and follow your motion. So basically we will use a chat, just have to say in favor or against or abstain, okay? Because it's not like collaborate, we don't have access to a vote tool like we used to do, all right? But thank you for your question.
There actually is a polling like votaciones tool that I can use as a host. So we can try and see if that works.
Oh, that's perfect because I don't have access to it. So if you can, then we will use this particular tool.
I can try that, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, any other questions before we move to the formal first council roundtable?
Yes, I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Right. So this maybe sound kind of stupid, but what I read on the theory about the negotiation, that's also important to create a good atmosphere in the negotiations. Since we're not here all together in a room, I was maybe thinking about if somebody has an idea that we can, I don't know, create a good atmosphere here for the whole negotiation, so it's not so, I don't know, and so formal, and maybe one or another is a little bit.
I don't know if it's
Is
me,
my
but
micro?
I have
Is my
lost.
micro is back on?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what basically what I was asking. So I don't know. We can do maybe something fun. Maybe like in the parliament when somebody starts to speak and addresses the president and the colleagues or something like this. So we have kind of a feeling here. I don't know if that's just stupid or if somebody would like the idea or have any ideas here what we can do.
Well, thank you so much for your intervention. I hope it will be a fun exercise. Clearly, in the context of the formal session, there is no too much room for expressing your opinions, but what you can do is use a reaction. There is this, you can react and you can obviously put your thumbs up if you agree with the position. And then in the context of the informal setting, well, as it happened in real life, when there are formal negotiations, then delegates they meet in the corridors of the council. Obviously, the dynamic and the way they express themselves is clearly much more different. And this will definitely apply to your informal negotiations as well. So I encourage you to be obviously nice to each other and try to have fun as much as you can, still sticking to the objective of this exercise, which is to defend the position of your member states. But clearly, and we've seen it in the context of the class, the ways you engage with your counterparts, the way you address it, interpersonal relationships, they are key in the context of council negotiations. So even strategically, it's always nice to be nice, I think, with your counterparts. Any other
Can we really quickly see if you have the voting system active? If I throw it, did anyone get the opportunity to vote?
Yes.
Yeah, it works. Perfect.
Okay, so whenever everyone has voted, there's 14 over 22 people. Can anyone please? Has anyone found it? Okay, okay. 18 out of 22. What's going on with the 3 remaining people? Well, it's fine. I'll just give it for granted we can do it. Okay, I'll just close the voting. Especially if people are not voting, we can consider that as an abstention at some point.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
So I propose that we start. Except if Francesco, do you want to intervene before we start with the formal session?
No, it's fine. I think everything.
I think there's one more question in the chat.
Oh, okay. Do we have 1 minute to explain our position? The resources very good.
So yeah, it's a good question. Clearly, in the context of your intervention, you won't be able to say all the positions that you have on all the issues. You will have to be strategic and address the issues that make sense in the context of your own strategy, obviously. So if you want to focus on the most salient issues that you have, for instance, could be about the expansion or the reduction of the MFF. If you want to focus more on the resources, on the rebates, it's definitely up to you. Clearly, the limits, the condition will be 1 minute. So then it's up to you how you allocate this time with your preferences. So no, you don't have to address all the issues at once, but focus on the one that make much more sense for you. And do we have to say your allies on each issue? Well, they are your ally as long as you think they are. So you will have to call them out and say, maybe we want to meet with, in your case, it could be Netherlands, for instance, and you will have to invite them, for instance, to meet in the context of the informal negotiation. Perfect. Thank you. So we will start. We are still on time. And I will like to formally open the first Council Roundtable, which is going to address one of the core issues and the most controversial issues in the entire MFF negotiation. So welcome to all the delegates. Thank you so much for being here. We will discuss about the size of the MFF based on the proposal of the European Commission. We will also address how this MFF is funded and looking at the different options that have been set by the European Commission proposal that expand the number of resources, own resources, traditional own resources in the context of this MFF with a number of different proposals, for instance, related to plastic tax. We will also discuss the rebates, which are common controversial issues for the past MFF negotiations and probably will remain for this particular negotiation. So rebates are reduction to the normal national contribution to the EU MFF. So these are the main issues that we will address for this first formal roundtable. And I would like to know if any member states wants to intervene. And please bear in mind that you have 1 minute limit. I will put in the chat a 10 seconds notice when your time is about to be up. And welcome everyone, and please enjoy this final simulation. So you have the floor. Please try to raise your hand and we will give you the floor.
Germany's raised their hand.
Please, Germany.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So Germany would like to encourage all other member states to accept the Commission's proposal. We regard this as extremely important in the current context because now is the time to modernize and do more with less. We need a streamlined, flexible, and unifying MFF that brings together all our member states in the face of COVID and Brexit. I understand why various states seek an increase in this time, but now is not the time for panic, and we cannot let our fear concerning COVID cloud our judgment. So I would like to invite similar states to mine, such as Belgium, Denmark, France, Ireland, Luxembourg, and Malta, and any other states who agree with me that now is the time for a modern, flexible, and unifying MFF to join me in room 1 to discuss accepting the Commission's proposal. I'd also like to invite those states that favour a decrease to come join us, if this is something I would be willing to discuss with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Germany. Any other member states that would like to respond or intervene and present its position?
How do you raise your hand, sorry?
Yes. I wanted to say that I agree with Germany. I think that the European Commission has proposed setting it at 1.11 of the gross national income of the 27 member states, and the increase over the period 2014-2020. If the UK is virtually excluded, would then be 5%. And I think that such an increase is necessary to compensate for the United Kingdom's exit from the EU and to reinforce or create certain policies deemed a priority in Brussels, such as the fight against climate change, migration management, and also equipping armies or the Erasmus Plus program. So I think that we should agree with the proposal.
Excellent. Thank you very much, France. Now it's the turn of Hungary, and then it will be Ireland.
Thank you very much to the chair for the time, and dear delegates, it's a great pleasure to be part of these wonderful negotiations as a representative of the government of Hungary. So the government of Hungary would like to stress out the importance of a strong budget facing a strong crisis. We started out with the UK leaving, and which was a huge loss for the MFF. Then we went on with the coronavirus, which increase the necessities of the MFF. So we need to put our efforts together start being flexible and get a solution for this upcoming MFF, which would be modern without any rebates, which would have innovative solutions to for the funds. So the government of Hungary encourages some flexible negotiations and is joining Germany whenever the informal meetings will start into the breakout rooms.
Excellent, thank you very much, Hungary. The delegate of Ireland, and then it will be Poland.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. So Ireland also agrees on the proposal of the Commission. It regards it as fair and opposes the negative of the Frugal Four to increase the budget. Ireland acknowledges that the benefits of your membership outweighs the budgetary contribution, and also wants to remind members, as colleagues have already done, that the current crisis poses a challenge to the European-wide recovery. Also, there is the forecast for 2021, which is especially uncertain, as no deal Brexit represents a big risk. There are also the climate and digital transformations. So with all these scenario, we also advocate for an enough strong budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's Poland.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure all the representatives here today can agree that it is a turbulent time for the Union at the moment, with Brexit, the COVID pandemic, as well as a bunch of environmental issues. That is why the Polish government would like to propose that now is the time to reflect and reform the current structure of the MFF budget by increasing it to make up for these unprecedented issues, as well as introducing a system of new own resources in order to pave the way for this expanded budget, as well as modernizing the budget, as Hungary said, by gradually eliminating these rebates and installing a new, more equalized system. We believe this is necessary to maintain the cohesion within the EU, and that in order to tackle these issues together is necessary for us to make an ambitious MMF proposal in these negotiations. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your detailed contribution. We will have Selvan, who is representing Spain. Selvan, if you can rename your member states, your name after your member state, if you can afterwards. So
of course,
Spain,
yeah.
Spain, and then Czech Republic.
Good morning, everyone. I hope we're all well. I actually wanted to begin by saying how I think we should all look to how incredible it is that 28 countries can come together and actually form a budget that will benefit everyone. That's what we're looking to do here. Inevitably, at the end of the day, every single member state here is going to make some mutual gains. And that's what we want to do. We don't want to, especially in the times of crisis that our other member states have already spoken about, it's in these times that we need to come together and look back to the original European vision, which is of bringing unity and peace and security to Europe. And Spain, I'm sure, along with other countries, would agree that the best way to do this is to increase the budget to 1.1% of the European Union's gross national income. And doing so will allow us to combat some of these issues that are coming, not only just as individual nations, but as a bloc, as a group, as a union. So yeah, I hope that every member state has that in mind today for the long day ahead.
Thank you so much, Spain. So Czech Republic and then Greece. I don't know if it's me, but Czech Republic, we cannot hear you.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So, distinguished delegates, Czech Republic is deeply concerned about the Commission's proposals regarding the three different issues that reunites all of us today. During the last years, we've seen certain favoritism in the European Union that still prevailed in form of rebates. Most of the countries, including Czechia, end up paying for this favorable treatment given to a small number of countries. For instance, in the two previous MFF, those countries had reduced CAL rates that were doubled by all other member states. Although the European Union claims to embrace equality, this is just another example of how this principle is overstepped. For these reasons, the Republic of Czechia aims to eliminate the rebates to create an equal Europe. However, the Europe that Czechia visualizes is also strong and powerful. To ensure both qualities, it is mandatory to create common value through investment. Consequently, Czechia considers of vital importance an increase of 1.3% of the GDP in the overall size of the MFF. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Czech Republic, for your intervention. Now it's the turn of Greece, and it will be followed by the Netherlands.
Distinguished delegates, the overall budget, the Greek government thinks the overall size of the budget should be increased, and as this increase is essential, especially in a period of crisis. In this way, it agrees with Hungary and Poland. On the correction system, it agrees with the Czech Republic, even if the position of the Greek government would be either to gradually eliminate all correction and seize the Brexit as an opportunity for the EU to get rid of this correction system. In this way, the Greek government proposes to all member states, in accordance with this point of view, to meet in Working Group 1. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. It's a turn of the Bulgaria now.
Okay, good morning. I'm representing Bulgaria.
The mic is way too low, Bulgaria. You should probably raise the volume.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Hi, now can you listen well? Okay, so hi, I'm here representing Bulgaria today. And let me say that Bulgaria is really grateful to be here negotiating these important issues for its country and the Union at all. I want to start with the two main threats that the European Union is facing now. Those are the coronavirus pandemic and the Brexit. And so, as the UN had said, the pandemic is reshaping inequalities and could worsen it. And as Bulgaria is one, has a particular economy in this union, it will suffer a lot. So he encouraged a vision of moving forward and to put efforts together to raise up the European budget up to 1.3% of the EU's GNA. Also, there's the important question that the United Kingdom has committed the Brexit. So Bulgaria sees it as a great opportunity to enhance integration between the member states. It's time to keep united and face this crisis together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bulgaria. So far, as a chair, we see that there is a huge divide in the member states in looking at the different issues. For instance, when it comes to expanding or reducing the budget, we see a major divide that will need to be addressed in the context of this negotiation. And I suggest that you already think about the way you can bridge your differences. So don't hesitate to mention this in the context of your intervention. The Netherlands, I forgot you on for the previous intervention, if you want to intervene, and then it will be Malta.
Okay, can everyone hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. The government of the Netherlands thinks that very good arguments have been given on the floor as of now, but good arguments to supporting not the most adequate of solutions. The MFF should be smaller, should be, in the opinion of this delegation, limited to 1% of the EU's GNI. And for all the right reasons that have been said, Brexit has made the union smaller. Therefore, a bigger budget would be a strain on the national contributions of each country. And as has been said, Brexit will affect the union, but it will affect it disproportionately. Countries such as the Netherlands, which have a strong trade with the United Kingdom, will be the hardest hit by the Brexit crisis, particularly a no-deal Brexit, as it seems we are starting to approach it. And on the issue of correction mechanisms, the Netherlands would like to state that correction mechanisms serve the same purpose as cohesion spending as the rest of the union. The MFF is fair on the spending issue, but not on the income issue. And we believe that income fair treatment of contributing countries is also a necessity to maintain fairness on the overall MFF. And we'd like to, for all the delegates, to think what will happen if we calculate prosperity of countries right now, which might not be as prosperous in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Please try to stick to the time limit for the next time. So Malta and then Luxembourg.
Good morning to all the delegates of the European Union member states. As the state of Malta, I would like to oppose to the previous intervention, and I would like to highlight the importance of maintaining or increasing, the actual overall size proposal in order to guarantee the well-functioning of the European Union policies and objectives. However, I would especially like to address the new own resources proposed by the Commission. Within all of the new resources proposed, some of them are really focusing on fighting climate change and preserving European compromises, which is very positive. Such, for example, the carbon border adjustment mechanism or the taxes in non-recycled plastic. However, there are certain others that could be threatening to especially some economies in our union. For example, the common consolidated corporate tax base could especially damage economies of smaller and more isolated states by the loss of their competitiveness in the European Union market. Also, the three-digital divide could also be damaging, considering that there is no global consensus about this kind of taxations to this kind of companies. And therefore, European market could lose its appealing to this kind of digital companies. For this reason, the state of Malta will only support this measure if, well, depending on the international performance, So I would like to invite the representatives of member states that are interested in further discussion to meet in the room number 4. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Malta. And you did well to mention the room in which you would like to meet other potential like-minded member states. Luxembourg and then Denmark.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Distinguished delegates, honorable chairs, Luxembourg, in the size of the budget, advocates for the COM proposal as it maximizes the benefits for Europe and the countries, the European countries. In own resources, Luxembourg believes that the recapture of different sources, income for the MFF to be managed is not a major debate. So as member states, we must bear in mind that the contribution of our own resources to the European Union is something fundamental. So Luxembourg stands for the COM proposal. In the rebates, Luxembourg's position in this issue is to support the proposal of the Commission. The Grand Duchy of Luxembourg encourages European countries to reconsider the way in which this topic has been structured. If we want to have a strong a cohesive European country and to be the standard for economic and social progress, we need to gradually end corrections. From the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, we advocate a gradual end to corrections. So Luxembourg calls for an alliance with France, Belgium, and Germany. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Luxembourg, for calling out your potential allies. So now we will have Croatia, then Austria. And then I think we will close and we will have responses from other member states, starting with Germany. So Croatia, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, well, thank you, distinguished delegates. Well, as for the position of the Republic of Croatia about the topics that we are discussing right now, we would really like to address the other delegates to consider an ampliation of the budget. We consider that the exit of the United Kingdom can be very dangerous for our own interest, and also that seeing the challenges that we have faced recently, a more strong union should go always in the direction of amplifying the budget. On the other hand, about the rebates, we really want to eliminate this mechanism because we think it's very unfair and it's against the main values of this union. And on the other side, respect on the own resources, we think it's good that we are considering to introduce it, but we also think that it's very important that we do this well and also calmly, and not try, to do it in a populist way just to win affection, but instead to keep the European Union as competitive as always, but instead trying to gain more own resources. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Croatia. So we will have Austria, and then I forgot I wanted to include Sweden as well. So Croatia and then Sweden.
Good morning to the honorable representatives. The aim of Austria is to adapt the budget to the new times by modernizing and simplifying it, following always the statement of doing less more efficiently. This will allow Europe to overcome new challenges. The MFF must be reduced to less than 1% of EU's GNI, taking into account the withdrawal of the United Kingdom, which was a very important net contributor, and also the budgetary efforts our countries will have to make and are making to fight against the crisis of COVID-19. If the budget increases, we can take the risk to overpressure our domestic finances. In order to solve this problem, Austria proposed an increment of our own resources, reducing the VAT taxes and creating new taxes in order to restrict plastic-based products, carbon emissions, and carry out the European Green Deal and demonstrate that the Europe commitment with the climate change hasn't changed. In terms of rebates, Austria thinks that these discounts create a balance between the net contributions and the countries that receive most of the funds, and ensure solidarity and fairness between all European countries, and wants all the member states to take it into account. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, Austria. So we will have Sweden. Please, Sweden, you have the floor.
Thank you for the floor. I would also like to wish a good morning to all the delegates, and I would just like to very promptly express Swedish positions. First of all, I would like to Sweden firmly stands behind the Netherlands and Austria, and we very fully support their position. We would just like to add a small points into it, and that's even if we do not exceed 1% of the European Union's GNI, the budget will still be bigger than the previous one, because over the last 7 years the European economies were growing. Therefore, even if we keep the 1%, we still have more money in the budget than in the previous MFF, and therefore by this we can ensure that the European budget will rise alongside the economies and alongside the Europe as a whole, to form and create modern Europe and efficient Europe. Speaking of the rebates, we would just like to very shortly address this by saying that on the contrary, some of the members said that it's actually a symbol of unfairness within the union, but in fact it's actually one of the crucial mechanisms that maintain the financial fairness and inequality in the union by correcting some of the excessive financial contributions of some member states. And it is very crucial to maintain this mechanism in the upcoming 7 years. And I would just like to add a small addition to the own resources. We are willing to discuss the application of green tax, meaning tax on plastic bags and other related products, in order to increase and create some form of own resources for the Europe. Thank you for the floor.
Thank you very much, Sweden. So I will kindly ask Germany to make a very small response in about 20 seconds. Then we will have Romania and Italy.
Thank you. I would like to quickly respond to all the states who have opposed the continuation of rebates. I would ask you to put yourself in Germany's shoes for 10 seconds. Germany contributes nearly 30,000 million to the EU budget every MFF. This is 20% of the overall budget. Germany only receives 12,000 million in return, running a deficit therefore of 14,000 million. I'd like you to sympathize a little bit with the German situation, since every year we're extremely willing to contribute this amount to our other member states, and we support you all hugely every year. Would like you to support us back by continuing the rebates and understanding why they're so important. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Germany. So Romania, Italy, and I want you to take into account that we have more or less 10 minutes left for the roundtable. So please mention the rooms in which you want to meet with your counterparts, so that everybody is aware of the different possibilities. So Romania, you have the floor now.
I wish a good morning to everybody, to my colleagues, to the President of the Council. So basically, what's important thing I want to say right now for Romania is the point of the cap, because Romania, from all European countries, we depend the most on agriculture, with 31% of the population working in the sector. And if you look at the financial outcome for the export of agricultural goods, you'll see that we are responsible for 5% of the outcome in the whole European Union. Our economy depends a lot on the weather, so in order to prevent the climate crisis as far as possible, it's our interest to fight climate change, so our farmers still have the conditions to practice their work in the future. Sub summarum, we want the 420 billion and the 50 division between the two pillars. And I want to add as well that about the issue 5, in addition to agriculture, our second most important part of our economy is the export of cars. So we're with large faculties like Ford, Renault, and others. So in order to counter the climate crisis, it's important for us to invest in the future, and as well in in the future of cars, car traffic, and mobility. So we want to demand for this issue 5, the sector of innovations, that we add a budget for the further developments of electric batteries. And we are also calling for subsidies for automobile manufacturers who
Romania, I think we
and the production
stop
of
you here now, Romania. I'm sorry, it seems like you're exceeding your destined time. Sorry.
Yeah,
thank you very much for your intervention. Thank you very much, Romania, for your intervention. Please, let's all try to stick to the time, because otherwise not everybody will be able to talk. So Italy and then Slovakia.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning to every member state. I would like to start explaining Italy's position. From Italy, we agree with some proposals that have mentioned before. We are not in favor to cut the budget. The Italian government we continue to defend European institutions and the proposal of 1 billion euros in the European budget to meet the great expenses and possible great challenges of the next years and the reconstruction of Europe due to the COVID crisis. And another issue is the rebates. In this way, we consider ourselves the most affected by the correction mechanism, which practically the most benefit is the United Kingdom. For these reasons, we are in favor of removing the correction, and that is our position. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Italy. Now we will have Slovakia.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning. New threats require new solutions, and as a budgetary logic underlies any project that the European Union wants to execute, the new EMF should include an increase with a double-edged approach in order to tackle the pre-existing structural inequalities among member states, but also different impact that the coronavirus has led on different countries. Secondly, there is a need to undergo the Brexit question, as many of you have mentioned. And thirdly, a reduction in the budget in comparison with the last year's increase would entail a backlash to the European integration process. And lastly, I would like, Slovakia would like to propose a reconsideration of the GNA indicator, and rather to use another, such as the GDP, that best reflects the day-to-day economic activities of each country.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your intervention. Once again, I encourage you to mention the room in which you want to meet other member states. Some of you already did it, for instance, with room 1 and 3, but I remember there were other invitations, so please mention it in the chat, and I will summarize it before the end of the formal session. Belgium and then Ireland.
Good morning to everyone. Well, Belgium stands that the budget needs to have a ceiling of 1.11%. It is true that with the coronavirus crisis, a big amount of the overall size could be a strain to the national budgets. So it's true that Belgium could better benefit with a 1% limit. Nevertheless, we are also really committed with the ambitious objectives of the European Union. So we will accept the 1.11% that has been proposed by the Commission. And well, regarding the own resources, we think that the bad resources need to be limited and also reformed, as said with the Commission, because countries have different fractions of consumer spending. And also we agree with the new own resources, taking into account that they go in line with the European Green Deal values. And regarding the rebates, Belgium stands that they need to be abandoned. And I want to make the member states think of that. Right now, Belgium is investing 388 million euros per year in that issue. Imagine all of these million euros went to cohesion spending. So all of this money could be allocated to the cohesion policy. And think of that sentence. That's the last thing I'm going to say. The sooner rebates are eliminated and so allocated in the cohesion policy, the sooner inequalities will end up, and this won't be needed. Thank you very much. And I'm going to join Belgium regarding to issue 1 in the group 1 room. Thank you.
Thanks. Ireland, you can take the floor.
Thank you for the floor. Well, even if Ireland is exempt from specific parts of the security and system policy, it is actually the less significant rebate. So actually the value Ireland pays for is greater than the exemption it gets. So Ireland advocates for a progressive elimination of the correction mechanisms. And regarding the own resources, Ireland acknowledges the need to reform the current system and agrees on the proposed new plastic levy, as well as on the carbon adjustment measure, because it is highly committed with the fight against climate change and the promotion of green policies. However, it does not support the digital levy because it believes it endangers the digital sector, and Europe cannot be left behind the United States on the matter, for example. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your intervention. We will have only one last intervention. Don't worry. You will have plenty of time, more time in the coming hours to intervene if you didn't manage to get through it so far. We will have Denmark, and then I will summarize once again what are the different options for the informal negotiations. But Denmark first.
Hello, do you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, so dear delegates, discussing the overall ceiling of the MFF, Denmark sees that the Commission's proposal is excessive for all the net contributors. So for that reason, it's important to stay to the 1% of the GNI, as the Commission proposal only punish the economies of net contributors countries and only benefit more the net recipients countries. Also, as Brexit has hit, in addition, to promote a more equal and fair European Union, we demand the perpetuation of correcting mechanisms, as this will cause a dilemma if it's it will cause a dilemma for our countries on the budget, and it will highly affect our people. So for all the countries that agree with maintaining the rebates as a policy of fairness and balance with net contributors and represents, please meet on room 5. Thank you.
Excellent. So we have, we'll thank you everybody for their intervention. I think it was very clear. You made your point through. So now we're going to move to another format that is hopefully going to be a bit more interactive. And I think that's where everything is going to be decided. So please try to be focused and try to advance your preferences as much as you can. So we will move into informal negotiations, but before we do so, so here you have an idea of what it looks like in real life. It's, for instance, a meeting from the Frugal Four in the context of this current MFF negotiation, and you have the Netherlands, Sweden, Austria, for instance, in the room. And so this is basically where the different coalitions they meet. So I want you to decide what is going to be your coalition and who are the like-minded groups with whom you want to discuss. We have a range of different possibilities. For instance, Germany mentioned to meet in room 1 in order to discuss basically how to accept the Commission proposal. Then Malta in room 4 about its opposition to common corporate tax and digital levies. So it's about own resources. Then it's a bit unclear for me because I had 2 member states mentioning room 3. Okay, so Ireland will be in room 4 with Malta, if I understand correctly, and then Czech Republic in room 3, discussing an increase of the MFF and the elimination of rebates. I don't see any member states mentioning room 2. So if correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any member states I want to meet in room 2 so that I don't forget the proposal? If it's not the case, then we have basically 3 rooms. So room 1, room 3, room 4.
I think room 5, Denmark, some people.
And exactly. Sorry.
No,
thank you for correcting me. And we have room 5. Denmark, which was actually the last proposal that I heard, and I forgot about it. I apologize. So yeah, indeed, room 5 for Denmark. So you should be able to access these rooms, and you can obviously navigate between the different rooms if you want. It is an informal setting, so you basically do whatever you want in following your strategy, and please turn on your camera so that you can more or less interact with your counterparts. you should be able to access the sessions, the breakout rooms on the platform. If you have any issues, well, contact us directly to Francesco and I, and we will make sure that you are able to connect with the others. Okay, so if it's clear for everyone, I suggest we close the formal negotiation and move into the informal setting. And we'll come back here in about 30 minutes, so at 11:15. All right? Okay, thank you very much, everyone, and see you in 30 minutes. Hello, Salvan, do you hear me?
Yes, sorry.
So you cannot access breakout rooms. Did you make, so you should be able to do so if you go at the bottom of the page. If you click on more, so more options basically, you should see Meet breakout room or Meet conference room, depending on the version that you have. And if it doesn't appear, it's possible that you don't have the latest version of Zoom. Did you?
Okay.
You have the
I
desktop?
downloaded Zoom like a year ago. I haven't updated since. Yeah,
Okay.
I have desktop.
Okay, perfect. So then you have to download the latest version, and then you connect again, and you will be able to access the breakout rooms. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought I would have had. Oh, my.
No, it's a new feature, so you should be.
Which version is it? Sorry, I have 5.0.
I can send you the link. Wait.